The colony of Zarathus floated silently around its dying sun. Its golden surface, once vibrant with energy and life, now glimmered faintly under the light of a star that was slowly fading. The alien inhabitants, the Valorians, were advanced, intelligent and proud, but even their brilliance could not hide the truth. They were trapped. The Valorians had been under siege for weeks. A fleet of unknown ships had appeared from the edge of the system, unannounced, hostile, and deadly. Their weapons had torn through the outer defense satellites in hours, leaving the colony vulnerable. Panic had begun to take root. In the heart of the colony, Kyle, a young engineer, moved through the dimly lit halls of the central command tower. His hands were steady, but his mind raced. He had worked with sensors and navigation for years, yet something about the current readings made him uneasy. Energy distortions flickered across his display. The signals were strange, fast, and unlike anything the Valorians had seen before. Kale knew the colony leadership would not be pleased if he interrupted their council again. The leaders, tall and graceful in their flowing ceremonial robes, had been debating their dwindling options for days. The High Council believed the only solution was evacuation, leaving behind their home, their culture, and much of their technology. Evacuation? Kale muttered to himself, stepping closer to the main view screen. The fleet outside had grown larger, and small shuttles were already preparing for escape. We cannot just abandon everything. He tapped on the sensor console. The distortions were growing. Something was moving fast through the void, and it was approaching the colony's orbit. Kale's heart thumped. Could it be another attack? The thought of more destruction made his claws tighten on the railing. At the council chamber, the leaders were tense. High Chancellor Veyron spoke first, his voice echoing in the hollow room. We have tried all communications. No help is coming. Our allies are too far. The fleet has cut us off. We must make a choice, either flee or be destroyed. A murmur ran through the room. The elders, usually calm and measured, looked anxious. Fear was a new feeling for them, one they had never known. Kale, standing near the back, felt it too, but it was mixed with curiosity. The signals he had seen were too deliberate to ignore. Suddenly, the sensors lit up with an anomaly. A massive object was moving at incredible speed. It was too large to be a simple ship and too precise to be random debris. Kyle leaned closer, trying to make sense of the readings. It's coming from the void, and it's heading straight for us, he whispered. The room froze as the council's attention shifted to the main viewing screen. A blinding streak of light appeared against the darkness of space. It grew larger with every second. Panic mixed with awe. None of them recognized this vessel. It was unlike anything they had seen before. Its hull shimmered in metallic gray, smooth and powerful. Weapons were visible, but they were silent. This was not the enemy. They had no aggressive stance, no firing patterns. Kale's eyes widened. It's enormous. And it's human, he breathed, unsure if he was speaking aloud or only to himself. Human, whispered an elder. The word was unfamiliar in this context. Humans were rumored to exist on the outer rim of the galaxy, far beyond the reach of most Valorians. Stories of their bravery and strength were like fairy tales, told to children to inspire hope. But to see one approaching was something no one had ever imagined. The massive ship slowed near the colony, maintaining a safe distance. From its hull, a small projection beam emerged, sending a communication message. The alien language translator, patched into the colony's systems, struggled to decode it at first. Then the words appeared. We have come to help. Stand down your defenses. We will protect you. Silence filled the chamber. The council could not believe what they were seeing. Many thought it was a trick, a lure set by the enemy to draw them into a trap. High Chancellor Veyron's tentacles twitched nervously as he considered the options. Could they trust these beings? Could they allow such a powerful unknown force so close to their home? Kale stepped forward. They are not attacking. Look at the formation. It's disciplined, precise. They are here to help, not destroy. His voice trembled slightly, but his conviction was clear. We cannot ignore this. We might have a chance. The council hesitated. Some elders whispered among themselves, fearful and doubtful. It is too risky, one said. What if this is a trick? What if they are working with the enemy? Another elder, older and wiser, raised a claw. We have no other choice. If this is real, it is the only chance we have. Perhaps the stories were true. Humans are more than legends. Outside, the human ship maintained its position, engines glowing faintly as it scanned the colony. Kale watched, fascinated, as smaller craft detached from the main vessel. They moved gracefully, almost like living beings, weaving through space to reach the colony's defensive positions. Within moments, shields that had been faltering under enemy fire were stabilized, energy redirected and weapons recalibrated. Kale could not hide his amazement. The humans worked differently from anything the Valorians had known. Their methods were creative, unexpected, and somehow fearless. Even when their tools seemed simple compared to Valorian technology, they achieved results that were brilliant. A sudden alarm rang through the colony. Scouts detected movement from the enemy fleet, ships approaching faster than before. Fear returned, but Kale felt something new too: hope. The humans were here. They could fight. "Prepare the fleet," Veyron ordered, his voice firmer now. "We will stand our ground. We will fight alongside these humans." Kale raced to the control center, joining the alien engineers who were already coordinating with the human crews. The room was filled with tension and energy. Machines humming, lights flashing, and data streams flowing. Kale felt alive, energized by the possibility that they were not alone. Minutes passed. The enemy fleet drew closer, scanning the colony for weaknesses. Yet the humans remained calm, issuing clear commands and setting traps in space that the Valorians had never imagined. Kale marveled at their courage. They were not reckless but fearless. Every maneuver was precise, every tactic considered. From his console, Kyle saw one human pilot approach a heavily damaged satellite. Without hesitation, the craft repaired it using a device that unfolded like living limbs. Kale blinked. "They are extraordinary," he whispered. As the sun dimmed further in the distance, casting shadows over the colony, Kyle realized something important. Hope was no longer a story or a distant dream. Hope was here, in the form of humans who had chosen to appear when all seemed lost. He felt a surge of determination. If the humans could fight for them, then perhaps the Valorians could fight too. For the first time in weeks, he smiled. They were not alone. Not yet. And as the stars stretched endlessly around the dying sun, Kale prepared for a night that would change everything, where legends met reality, and a human warship roared from the void. The enormous human warship hovered near Zarathus like a silent guardian. Its massive hull reflected the dim light of the dying star, and its engines glowed faintly with blue energy. The Valorians could not stop staring. The legends of humans had always painted them as brave and clever, but seeing one in person, here in their desperate moment, felt unreal. Kale stayed at the sensor console, eyes fixed on the ship. "They're not attacking," he muttered again, more to himself than anyone else. "They've come to help." High Chancellor Veyron's tentacles twitched nervously as he observed the humans' movements. The council gathered, still unsure whether to trust the strange beings. Some of the elders whispered anxiously, others simply stared in awe. Suddenly, the humans sent a small fleet of auxiliary ships toward the colony. They were sleek, nimble, and unlike any Valorian craft. The humans operated them with incredible precision, docking with critical systems and reinforcing weak points in the colony's shields. Each movement was careful but bold, calculated risk combined with instinctive skill. Kale's heart raced as he watched. He had seen military drills before, studied tactics, but nothing matched this. The humans were fearless and clever. He could see why the stories about them had spread across the galaxy. Commander Aaron, the human captain, appeared on the communication screen. His presence was calm yet commanding. "Valorians," he said, speaking slowly so the translators could manage. "We are here to help. Stand down your weapons and prepare to work together. We can fight them, but only if we trust each other." Some of the council hissed in skepticism. "How can we trust these strangers? They are unknown. Their motives could be dangerous," one elder whispered to another. Kyle stepped forward, urgency in his voice. "They saved our outer shields already. They are here not to attack but to defend us. If we reject them, we lose our only chance." High Chancellor Veyron paused, considering the words. Finally, he nodded. "Very well. We will cooperate. But any sign of betrayal and we act immediately." With that decision, the colony transformed into a hub of activity. Valorians and humans moved side by side, combining skills and knowledge. Kale was assigned to assist the human engineers working on the shield systems. "What is your name?" asked a human engineer, a young woman with short dark hair and bright, curious eyes. "Kale," he replied. "I'm Lyra," she said, smiling. "We have limited time. Let's make it count." Working together, they repaired and enhanced the colony's defenses. Kale noticed how humans approached problems differently from Valorians. Where the aliens calculated and perfected, humans experimented and adapted quickly. Their methods were strange but effective. "Try this," Lyra said, pointing at a section of the shield matrix. "It's risky, but it might hold against their plasma arrays." Kyle hesitated. Risk was not common among the Valorians. "It could overload the system," he warned. "Or it could save the colony," Lyra replied confidently. "We'll find out." Together they activated the modification. Energy surged through the shield generators, pulsating like a living thing. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then the shield stabilized and strengthened. Kale's eyes widened. It worked. The aliens watching from above the consoles gasped in surprise. "They are extraordinary," one elder muttered. Kale nodded, feeling a thrill he had never known. "They are humans." While the repairs continued, the enemy fleet returned. From the dark edges of space, countless ships advanced, their weapons glinting in the fading starlight. Panic tried to rise in the hearts of the Valorians, but the humans remained calm, issuing clear orders to the colony's defense systems. Commander Aaron's voice boomed over the intercom. "Focus on precision. Don't waste energy on their numbers. Use the environment. Remember, fear is their weapon. Ignore it." Kale's claws trembled as the first enemy ships entered range. The humans coordinated with the Valorians, guiding fighter craft and shield arrays. They did not just fight. They led, inspired, and organized. In the midst of battle, Kale noticed small human ships weaving through enemy fire, dodging plasma bolts with impossible agility. They struck weak points in the enemy ships, then vanished before retaliation. "They're like shadows," Kale whispered to Lyra. "Not shadows," she said, smiling despite the chaos. "Lightning. Fast, sudden, impossible to predict." The colony itself became a hive of coordinated defense. Valorian crews, guided by humans, operated weapons and shields in new ways. Kale marveled at the humans' confidence. Where the aliens hesitated, humans acted. Where the aliens calculated, humans improvised. It was a dangerous combination, but it was working. Hours passed like minutes. The enemy fleet, which had once seemed unstoppable, began to falter. Ships were damaged, retreating in small groups. Yet the battle was far from over. Commander Aaron knew it was only a temporary reprieve. "Prepare for reinforcements," Aaron warned. "They will return stronger. But we are ready." Kale looked out at the stars, feeling something he had not felt in weeks. Hope. Humans had appeared when all seemed lost. Their bravery, skill, and fearlessness had given the Valorians a chance to survive. The alien council watched in awe. Even the most skeptical elders could not deny the humans' effectiveness. "Perhaps the stories were true," one said quietly. "They are more than legends." Kale returned to the sensor console, scanning the void. The human fleet maintained a careful perimeter, scanning for threats, reinforcing defenses, and protecting the colony. He noticed the humans never hesitated, never doubted, and never gave in to fear. One human pilot, a young man named Jarek, docked with a damaged orbital platform. Without hesitation, he repaired the structure while under enemy fire. Kale could hardly believe his eyes. The courage of these humans was unmatched. "Why do they fight like this?" Kale asked Lyra. "Because they choose to," she said simply. "They do not wait for hope to arrive. They create it." As the battle subsided for the night, the enemy fleet retreated just beyond sensor range. The colony had survived, but barely. The Valorians had learned a valuable lesson. Humans were unpredictable, fearless, and brilliant in ways the aliens had never imagined. Kyle and the human engineers moved through the colony, repairing damage and reinforcing defenses. Bonds were forming, not just of necessity, but of respect. Kyle realized the humans were not just allies. They were teachers, guides, and symbols of hope. That night, Kyle stood on the observation deck, watching the human warship hover against the void. Commander Aaron and his crew worked tirelessly, ensuring the colony's survival. Kale felt a surge of admiration and gratitude. "They saved us," he whispered. "They really saved us." And in the quiet of space, under the dying light of a distant star, Kale understood something profound. The humans were not only warriors, They were a force that could inspire courage, hope, and resilience in those who had nearly given up. The Valorians had thought no help would come, but now with humans at their side they had a chance. A chance to survive, to fight back, and perhaps to win. The battle for Zarathus had begun, and it would be a fight unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The night over Zarathus was silent, but it was a deceptive calm. Far beyond the edge of the colony, the enemy fleet regrouped, preparing for a full-scale assault. Hundreds of ships moved with precise coordination, weapons glowing and engines burning, ready to crush the colony that dared to resist. Inside the colony, Kale and the other Valorians were tense. Though the humans had helped them survive the previous attacks, no one had forgotten the stakes. If the enemy returned in full force, Zarathus could be destroyed. Kale stood beside Lyra, watching as the humans coordinated with the Valorian defense teams. "They are so calm," Kale murmured. "Even now," Lyra smiled faintly. "They don't panic because they trust themselves and their team. Fear is part of the universe, but they use it, not let it use them." Suddenly, alarms rang across the colony. Sensors detected the enemy fleet approaching at maximum speed. Dozens of ships broke through the darkness, plasma trails lighting up space like fire against the black. The humans were ready. The moment had come. "Positions." Commander Aaron's voice boomed through the comm system. "Focus on the outer perimeter. Use the debris fields for cover. Valorians, follow our guidance. We fight together, or we don't survive." Kyle ran to his post at the shield matrix, heart pounding. He was terrified, but also exhilarated. For the first time, he felt part of something larger than himself. A battle bigger than any he had imagined. The enemy fired first. Plasma bolts streaked toward the colony, exploding against the reinforced shields. Sparks and energy arcs flashed in the observation screens. Kale's claws tightened as he watched the damage report scroll by. "Hold steady," Lyra said, her hands flying over the controls. "Keep them focused on the decoys. Let the humans do the rest." The human strategy was unlike anything the Valorians had seen. Instead of meeting the enemy head-on, they used misdirection. Smaller ships darted in and out of cover, drawing enemy fire while the main fleet struck at weak points in formation. Kale gasped as he watched one human pilot, a woman named Terra, fly straight into a plasma storm, dodging bolts by inches. She fired back at the enemy's shield generators, causing massive explosions that sent whole sections of the fleet spinning out of control. How do they do that?" Kale whispered. Lyra shrugged. "They take risks others would never dare, but they calculate those risks in ways we can barely follow." The colony's weapons joined the fray. Valorian energy cannons fired in rhythm with the human fleet, following precise commands. For every ship destroyed, the humans ensured the colony's shields remained strong. Kale marveled at the coordination. It was chaos, but controlled chaos, like a storm bending to their will. Commander Aaron appeared again on the comm. "Kyle, focus on shield modulation. Adjust the matrix to reflect plasma bursts. Valorians, follow my lead. Timing is everything." Kale nodded, fingers flying over the controls. Sweat dripped from his brow as he manipulated the energy flows. The shield pulsed under his hand, stronger with every adjustment. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and still, they held. Outside, the battle raged like a storm of fire. Enemy ships fell one by one, but more kept coming. Kale noticed the humans using the environment to their advantage. Asteroid fields, debris from destroyed ships, and even the faint gravity of the dying star were all part of the strategy. Every element became a weapon in their hands. A massive enemy cruiser broke through the outer defenses, heading straight for the colony's energy core. Panic rippled among the Valorians. Without the core, the entire colony would be defenseless. "Not today," Aaron said calmly. He launched a squadron of human fighters, weaving between debris, dodging enemy fire, and striking with perfect precision. The cruiser's shields failed under the coordinated assault. Kale watched, breathless, as the massive vessel exploded in a brilliant flash, sending shockwaves across the void. The enemy faltered. Their once feared fleet now seemed uncertain, confused by the humans' unpredictable tactics. Kale could hardly believe it. These humans were ordinary by appearance, small, fragile, but their courage and ingenuity made them extraordinary. "Focus on morale," Aaron said to the Valorians. "Fear is contagious, but so is courage. Fight with your hearts and don't let them see you break." Kyle felt a new sense of determination. For weeks he had been trapped by despair, believing no help would come. Now inspired by humans who refused to surrender, he pushed aside fear. Every calculation, every adjustment to the shield, became a small act of defiance against the enemy. Hours passed in a blur. Explosions lit the void. Plasma bolts streaked past the colony and debris spun wildly in zero gravity. Yet the humans never wavered. They led, guided, and inspired the Valorians, turning what should have been hopeless into a fight worth winning. Kale noticed a small squad of human engineers repairing an orbital platform under enemy fire. They moved quickly, fearlessly, their hands precise, their minds focused. Kale felt awe and admiration. Humans did not simply survive, they thrived in danger. They are not just warriors, Kale whispered to Lyra. They are heroes. Lyra smiled faintly. Heroes? Maybe, but more than that, they are humans. They fight because they can and because they believe in action. That is what makes them powerful. By nightfall, the enemy fleet began to retreat, their numbers decimated, their confidence shaken. The humans did not celebrate, they did not need to. They continued reinforcing the colony's shields, repairing damage and preparing for the inevitable return of the enemy. Kyle and the other Valorians were exhausted, yet exhilarated. They had witnessed courage, skill, and ingenuity beyond anything they had imagined. The humans had not only defended them, they had shown them what hope and determination could achieve. High Chancellor Veyron approached Kale. I did not believe it, he said softly. Humans, they are more than stories. They are extraordinary. Kyle nodded, still staring at the human fleet. Yes, and they have given us something even greater than victory. They have shown us that we can fight too. Commander Aaron appeared on the communication screen once more. Rest now. This is only the beginning. They will return, and when they do, we must be ready. We fight together, or we do not survive. Kale took a deep breath, looking out at the stars. The void was vast, dark, and filled with unknown dangers, but it no longer felt hopeless. Humans had arrived, and with them came courage, innovation, and the belief that even the most desperate situation could be turned around. That night, as Zarathus rested beneath the stars, Kale knew one thing clearly. Humanity was not just strong, they were unstoppable when they chose to act. And if humans were willing to fight for them, then the Valorians would fight too. Side by side, they could face anything. The enemy had come for destruction, but they had underestimated the combination of human ingenuity and Valorian resilience. The battle had been won for now, but the war was far from over. And as Kale looked at the glowing hull of the human warship, he felt a surge of determination. They had survived the first assault. They had learned the human strength, and they were ready for whatever came next. Hope had returned to Zarathus, and it had a human face. The aftermath of the battle left Zarathus battered but alive. Fires burned in some of the outer settlements, and smoke from damaged structures rose into the thin atmosphere. The Valorians worked tirelessly to repair what they could, but fatigue weighed heavily on them. Their pride had been shaken, their hope nearly gone, but the humans' arrival had changed everything. Kale moved through the colony alongside Lyra, observing the work crews and human engineers collaborating with Valorian teams. Every corner of the colony was alive with activity. Repairs were underway, defenses were reinforced, and energy cores were recalibrated. Even in exhaustion, Kyle felt a spark of excitement. Humans did not just survive, they inspired. Commander Aaron walked among the crews, speaking quietly but firmly, guiding both humans and Valorians. His calm authority radiated confidence, and those who worked near him felt braver. Kale noticed the subtle ways the humans encouraged their alien allies. A nod, a small smile, a word of praise for a job well done. Every gesture built trust, and slowly, fear began to fade from the Valorians' hearts. Kyle approached Aaron while the human captain was checking a series of shield generators. How do you do it? Kyle asked quietly. You don't panic. Even with death all around you, you remain calm. Aaron glanced at him with a small smile. We have no choice. Fear is easy to feel, but it doesn't help. We focus on what we can do, not what might happen. Action gives us strength, and that strength inspires others. Kyle nodded, trying to absorb the lesson. For weeks he had felt helpless, trapped by despair. Now, working alongside humans, he realized that courage was contagious, and hope, he understood, was even more powerful. Lyra joined them, wiping sweat from her brow. They are teaching us more than combat, she said. They are teaching us how to think, how to act, how to trust ourselves. The human engineers began sharing their strategies with the Valorians, showing them how to integrate human technology with alien systems. They demonstrated new shield patterns, energy redirection techniques, and rapid repair methods that made previously impossible repairs feasible. Kale worked alongside them, learning quickly, amazed by the humans' adaptability. At the same time, the humans observed Valorian technology with curiosity. They asked questions, made suggestions, and even found ways to enhance certain systems using simple but clever modifications. It was a partnership, not one-sided teaching, and Kale felt proud to contribute. As the day passed, Kale noticed a change in the Valorians. Where there had been fear, there was now confidence. Where there had been doubt, there was trust. The humans had shown them that survival was possible, that courage mattered, and that working together was stronger than isolation. High Chancellor Veyron called a council meeting to discuss the next steps. For the first time, the elders did not speak in fear or despair. Instead, they discussed strategy, morale, and collaboration with the humans. Kale watched as Aaron explained tactical approaches that combined human unpredictability with Valorian precision. "We must prepare for their return," Aaron said. "They will come stronger, faster, and more determined. But together we can outthink them. We fight with strategy, courage, and unity. If we trust each other, nothing can break us." Veyron nodded slowly, his long tentacles curling thoughtfully. "Your words carry wisdom," he said. "Perhaps the legends were true. Humans, they bring more than power. They bring hope." Kale felt a thrill of pride and excitement. He had seen hope take shape before his eyes, living, breathing, and acting. It was no longer a distant idea. It was real, and humans were its embodiment. Over the following days, humans and Valorians worked side by side to strengthen the colony. Kyle trained with the human pilots, learning how they analyzed the enemy's patterns and reacted quickly. He marveled at their intuition, the way they could sense danger, predict movements, and respond without hesitation. One evening, Kale joined a group of humans and Valorians at the edge of the colony, watching the stars for enemy movement. The humans were calm, relaxed even, their confidence unwavering. "Do you ever get scared?" Kale asked quietly. "Of course," replied Lyra. "Fear is natural, but it doesn't control us. We feel it, we respect it, but then we act. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's acting in spite of it." Kale thought about the battles he had witnessed. The enemy fleet retreating in confusion, the humans repairing shields under fire, and the bravery of the pilots weaving through plasma storms. They were fearless, yes, but also clever and adaptable. It was a combination that gave the Valorians a new perspective. Kale realized that the humans had not just saved the colony, they had changed it. They had changed the Valorians' understanding of courage, action, and cooperation, and for Kale, that change felt personal. As the sun dipped below the horizon of Zarathus, the humans gathered the Valorians for a demonstration. They explained new tactical maneuvers, showing how to use the colony's environment, shields, and weapons in ways the Valorians had never imagined. Kale participated actively, contributing his knowledge and learning rapidly from the humans' guidance. The session ended with laughter, encouragement, and mutual respect. It was a moment of unity, a rare pause in the constant tension of war. Kale felt a bond forming, not just between humans and Valorians, but among all who fought together. Later, Kale walked through the repaired sections of the colony, observing the humans coordinating repairs and teaching young Valorians. He felt a sense of awe. These beings, strangers from a distant star, had risked everything to arrive here. They had not demanded recognition, not sought reward. They simply acted because it was the right thing to do. Kyle's admiration grew. The humans' presence was more than physical strength. It was moral courage, creativity, and inspiration. They led not just with weapons but with ideas, teaching others to fight, adapt, and hope. High Chancellor Veyron called Kale to his side. "You have learned much from these humans," he said. "But there is one lesson more important than all else: trust. Trust in them and trust in yourselves. Together we are stronger than any enemy." Kyle nodded, understanding fully. The humans had shown him that courage and intelligence, when combined with trust and cooperation, could overcome even the most overwhelming odds. As night fell over Zarathus, the human warship glowed faintly against the stars. Its presence was a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest hours help could arrive from the most unexpected places. Kale looked at the humans preparing for the next battle, their calm focus and unshakable resolve filling him with determination. Tomorrow the enemy would return, and when they did, Kale knew the Valorians would fight. Not alone, but alongside humans who had taught them that fear could be overcome, that hope could be made real, and that courage could inspire entire worlds. The colony was no longer just a place of despair. It had become a symbol of resilience, unity, and human ingenuity. Kale felt ready for whatever came next, knowing that together, they could face any challenge. And in the quiet of the night, as the stars stretched endlessly over Zarathus, Kale whispered to himself, "We are not alone, not anymore, and we will not fail." The morning light of Zarathus barely touched the edges of the colony. The Valorians moved with purpose, repairing, preparing, and training for the battle they knew would come. The humans worked alongside them, calm, efficient, and precise, their presence inspiring confidence that had long been lost. Kyle stood at the observation deck, scanning the distant stars. He felt a mix of anticipation and nervous energy. The enemy fleet was returning, larger than before, and the colony would face its greatest challenge yet. But Kale also felt hope. Humans were here, and their courage and ingenuity had transformed fear into determination. "Kyle," Lyra said, joining him. "Ready?" He nodded. "I think we are." The humans and Valorians had spent the night reinforcing the colony's shields, repositioning defenses and coordinating attack strategies. Every aspect of the defense was planned, yet flexible, an adaptation of human creativity combined with Valorian precision. Commander Aaron's voice echoed over the colony-wide comm. "Today we fight not just for survival but for unity. Remember, fear is natural but courage is choice. Act, adapt, and trust your team. Victory comes to those who stand together." The enemy fleet appeared first as distant points of light, growing larger and faster with each passing moment. Hundreds of ships, engines glowing and weapons charged, advanced toward Zarathus with deadly intent. Kale's claws tightened on the console. His pulse raced. "Hold steady," Aaron instructed. "Follow the plan. We act as one." The battle began. Plasma bolts streaked across space, and the shields of Zarathus flared against the first wave. The humans guided the Valorians in real time, adjusting tactics with lightning speed. They instructed which weapons to fire, when to maneuver, and how to use the environment. The debris fields, asteroid belts, and even the star's gravity became tools for defense. Kale marveled at the humans' coordination. They did not just fight, they commanded, inspired, and innovated. Small squadrons darted through enemy fire, striking weak points while the colony's defenses followed their lead. Every strike was precise, calculated, and devastating. A massive enemy cruiser broke through the outer defenses, heading straight for the energy core. Panic rose among the Valorians, but the humans acted without hesitation. Commander Aaron deployed a squadron of human fighters, weaving through plasma storms and dodging enemy fire. They attacked the cruiser's shields and engines, disabling it before it could reach the core. Kale watched, breathless, as the cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash. The enemy fleet faltered, their confidence shaken by the humans' unpredictable tactics. "They fight like shadows and lightning," Kyle whispered to Lyra. "Impossible to anticipate, impossible to stop. They fight like humans," Lyra corrected with a smile. "Fearless, clever, and unstoppable when they choose to act." The battle raged on for hours. Enemy ships came in waves, relentless and determined, but the humans and Valorians worked as one. Shields pulsed, weapons fired, and every movement was coordinated with precision. Kale's hands flew over the console, adjusting energy flows, redirecting shields, and supporting the human strategies. Amid the chaos, Kale noticed small acts of bravery that inspired him. A young Valorian pilot, guided by human training, dove into a swarm of enemy fighters to protect a damaged colony module. Human engineers repaired critical systems under fire, moving with calm determination and fearless efficiency. Kale realized that the humans had done more than protect the colony. They had changed the Valorians themselves. They had taught them courage, teamwork, and the power of action. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, the Valorians now believed in themselves. High Chancellor Vayreen observed the battle from the command tower. "I never imagined we could endure this," he whispered. "But with humans by our side, Perhaps we are stronger than any enemy. As the day wore on, the enemy fleet began to break. Ships were destroyed. Others fled in confusion. The combination of human tactics and Valorian precision proved unstoppable. Kale could hardly contain his awe. Humans were ordinary in appearance, yet their bravery and intelligence turned the tide of battle. Commander Aaron appeared on the comm one final time. Focus on the final wave. Strike together, act together. This is the moment we prove that courage can overcome any force. The final enemy ships advanced massive and threatening, but the humans and Valorians met them head-on. Every strike, every maneuver was coordinated. Shields flared and weapons fired in perfect rhythm. Kale worked tirelessly at the consoles, guiding energy flows, strengthening defenses, and supporting the combined efforts. One by one, enemy ships were disabled or destroyed. The last of the fleet, a massive command vessel, faltered under the relentless assault. Human pilots darted through its defenses, striking weak points, while Valorian cannons fired precise volleys. Finally, the command vessel exploded in a spectacular blaze, signaling the end of the battle. Silence fell over Zarathus. The colony was battered but victorious. Humans and Valorians alike took a moment to breathe, to process what had just occurred. Kale felt exhaustion, exhilaration, and pride all at once. They had survived. They had fought together, and they had won. High Chancellor Vayreen addressed the council and the assembled crews. Today we witnessed something extraordinary. Humans arrived when we thought hope was lost. They fought with courage, intelligence, and honor. We are alive because of them. We owe them more than gratitude. We owe them respect. Kyle looked at Commander Aaron and the humans. They stood calm as if the battle were a routine event, yet Kale knew the truth. Humans had risked everything to arrive when no one expected help. They had chosen action, courage, and hope. Aaron approached Kyle and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You fought well," he said. "Not just with your weapons, but with your mind and heart. Courage is contagious, and today you proved it." Kyle felt a warmth spread through him. Humans had taught him bravery, resilience, and trust. They had shown him that even in the darkest hour, hope could shine brighter than fear. The Valorians began repairing their colony with renewed energy, guided by human innovation and strategy. Children watched the humans in awe, learning from their actions. Scientists and engineers collaborated, sharing ideas that would strengthen the colony for generations. Kyle walked among the survivors, observing their determination. The humans had not only saved them, they had changed them. Where there had once been fear, there was now courage. Where there had once been despair, there was hope. High Chancellor Vayreen approached Kale and spoke softly. "We have learned a lesson today that cannot be taught by books or stories. Humans are more than warriors. They are teachers, leaders, and inspiration. Zarathus owes them a debt that words cannot describe." Kale nodded. "They gave us more than survival. They gave us belief. They showed us what we are capable of when we act together." As the sun set over the repaired colony, the human warship prepared to depart. Kale and Lyra stood on the observation deck, watching the massive vessel glow against the stars. Aaron's voice came over the comm one last time. "We leave knowing you are ready. Continue to protect your world, fight with courage, and trust each other. We will be proud to see how far you go." The humans vanished into a wormhole, leaving behind a thriving, self-reliant colony. Zarathus was no longer just a place of despair. It was a symbol of resilience, courage, and the power of unity. Kale looked at the horizon, feeling a surge of pride. The Valorians had fought, adapted, and survived. They had learned from humans, and in doing so had become stronger than ever. The enemy had been defeated, not just by firepower, but by the combination of human ingenuity and Valorian determination. Kale knew that the legend of humanity would live on in Zarathus, a story told for generations about the species that arrived when no help was expected and changed the fate of an entire world. As night fell over the stars, Kale whispered to himself, "We are ready, and we will never forget what humans taught us." Hope, courage, and unity had returned to Zarathus, and humanity, once distant and mysterious, had become a beacon of inspiration across the galaxy. The battle was won, but the story of courage, human and alien, would continue for generations.